Coraline, the inventive young baker of the underwater bakery, is in her kitchen brainstorming new ideas. Her bakery, nestled among colorful coral reefs, is a cozy haven for the sea creatures of the ocean. Coraline loves experimenting with flavors and designs, but today she's having a big idea. While swimming through the coral gardens, Coraline notices bubbles rising gently to the surface of the sea, shimmering and catching the sunlight. An excited thought strikes her: what if she could make a bubble cake, a cake that's not only delicious but decorated with floating, magical bubbles? With her heart racing, Coraline swims back to her bakery, eager to bring this unique idea to life. She rushes through the door, greeted by her clumsy yet lovable best friend, Finn the whale, who accidentally knocks over a jar of sea salt flour. Coraline chuckles and tells Finn to grab the ingredients from the top shelf while she starts baking. Her crabby assistant, Crabby the crab, grumbles from the counter, complaining about the extra work. Coraline, however, is too excited to notice. She mixes the cake batter with sea salt flour and a pinch of secret seaweed powder, giving the cake a light, airy texture. As the cake bakes, Coraline prepares her special bubble-making tools: a jellyfish tentacle for a bubble wand, an old conch shell to blow air through, and sea foam from a nearby reef. She's bubbling with excitement, until she blows her first bubble. It pops instantly. Coraline tries again, this time using a special bubble blend, but the result is the same. The bubbles float for a second before bursting mid-air. Finn tries to help by blowing bubbles with his big whale mouth, but only a gust of water knocks the frosting off the cake. Crabby, in his usual grumpy fashion, attempts to create a bubble machine by attaching various shells and sea plants together. Unfortunately, the machine bursts with foam, covering the entire bakery in a soapy mess. Coraline stands frozen, staring at the disaster, her dream of the perfect bubble cake slipping away. Finn, ever the optimist, suggests they take a break and go for a swim to clear their heads. But Coraline, frustrated, shakes her head. This is impossible. There's no way I'll be able to make the perfect bubble cake if the bubbles keep popping. Just then, a sudden memory pops into her mind. Coraline remembers hearing a story from the wise Jellyfish Council about the Bubble Caves, a legendary cavern deep beneath the ocean that contains magical, unbreakable bubbles. According to the tale, the bubbles inside the cave are said to be the perfect decoration for any cake and can float without bursting, no matter how much the waves shift. Coraline's eyes widen with excitement. The bubble caves. That's it, she exclaims. I have to go there and find the perfect bubbles. Finn, Crabby, and Coraline quickly prepare for an underwater adventure. With a wave of her fin, Coraline opens the bakery door and leads the way toward the edge of the coral reef. They swim deep into the ocean, passing schools of fish and swirling currents that challenge their progress. Finn, being large, struggles to fit through narrow spaces but does his best to follow. Coraline spots a glowing trail of bubbles, which she believes will lead them to the bubble caves, and the trio swims deeper into the dark, mysterious waters. After a long journey, they finally reach the bubble caves, a hidden cavern filled with glowing bioluminescent seaweed and shimmering bubbles that float like stars in the water. But just as Coraline gets ready to grab some of the magical bubbles, a deep rumbling sound echoes through the cave. The water ripples, and out emerges a gigantic sea creature, Tidal, the playful guardian of the caves. Tidal, with his giant tentacles and friendly grin, blocks their path, swirling the water around them. Who dares enter my domain? Tidal booms with a mischievous gleam in his eye. Coraline, a little startled, explains their mission. We need the perfect bubbles for my bubble cake. The ones from this cave are supposed to be magical. Please, may we take some? Tidal grins wider. I will only let you take my bubbles if you can make me laugh. He challenges, his deep voice rumbling with amusement. You must entertain me, and if you can make me laugh, I will allow you to take the perfect bubbles. Fail, and you'll never leave the caves. Coraline, Finn, and Crabby exchange worried glances. We're not very good at entertaining, Finn whispers. But Coraline refuses to back down. We can do this, she says. The team springs into action. Finn starts by attempting a ridiculous dance, flapping his fins awkwardly, but his large size only causes a small tidal wave, sending bubbles everywhere. Krabby takes over, trying to juggle seaweed with his claws, but he drops it all in frustration. Finally, Coraline steps up. She decides to blow bubbles in the most exaggerated, ridiculous way she can, puffing her cheeks and trying to make the biggest bubbles possible. But each bubble either pops too soon or floats off too quickly. Coraline lets out a dramatic sigh, but then a playful idea strikes her. She gathers some sea foam, turns it into a shape, and blows the biggest, wobbliest bubble she's ever made. It's huge, it's wobbly, and just when it looks like it will pop, it floats right toward Tidal's face and lands gently on his nose. Tidal roars with laughter, his giant tentacles flailing in the water. Well done. Well done, he laughs, giving Coraline and her friends the perfect bubbles. You have truly entertained me. With the magical bubbles safely in tow, the trio swims back to the bakery, where Coraline finally finishes her bubble cake. Instead of forcing the bubbles to stay, she lets them float around the cake, giving it an enchanting, whimsical appearance. As the Jellyfish Council arrives for the taste test, they are stunned by the beauty and creativity of Coraline's cake. The bubbles float around the cake like stars in the water, catching the light in a magical way. Even Pearl, Coraline's rival baker, can't help but admire the creation. I never thought of using bubbles like that, she mutters, though she tries to hide her jealousy. The council praises Coraline's work, declaring the bubble cake the most unique dessert they've ever seen. Coraline smiles proudly as her underwater neighbors swarm the bakery, laughing and celebrating the delicious cake. As the episode draws to a close, Coraline reflects on her adventure. Sometimes, she says, the best ideas come from thinking outside the bubbles. Finn and Krabby chuckle beside her, knowing that with Coraline's creativity, there will always be new adventures, and cakes, waiting to be made. The end.
Subscribe to my channel.